Hello friends, my name is Emily and today I'm showing you how I made this very simple animation using my digital art and a free video editor called CapCut. I'm not an animator myself, so if you're like me and you've got some digital art files that you want to add some pizzazz to, then this is the tutorial for you. Step number 1, to follow today's tutorial, you're going to need to install CapCut on your desktop. So I've seen some people are able to animate using CapCut, the app, downloaded on their phone or tablet, but to follow this tutorial, you're going to want to stick to your desktop. So go over to CapCut.com, click download, and open the program. Here's a glimpse at my desktop, and you'll notice that I have CapCut as well as a file titled CapCut Animation Files. So in order to make this, you're going to want to start on your desktop, right click, go to New, and click on Folder. Once you're there, change the title. So for instance, I named mine CapCut Animation Files, and then moving forward, this is the file that you're going to stick to. I'm going to go ahead and delete it because again I already have mine made, and then now you should have CapCut and a file for your CapCut animation files. So for today's video I'm using Clip Studio Paint, and today I have opened one of my newest greeting card designs that I would like to animate. I'm not an animator, so I really wanted to figure out an easy way for myself to bring a little life into my designs. Again, to follow along, make sure you've installed your CapCut desktop version. Open up your preferred art program, and we're going to go ahead and get started. First, we want to get rid of the background. The reason why we want to do this is that we want our background to be transparent. So you want to see these checkered patterns. That means that when you save this as a PNG, that background is going to be transparent. So here I'm going to go to my file, I'm going to right click, select from layer, create selection, and I'm going to click the crop button. So now that I have this cropped, I'm going to deselect, then I'm going to go to File, Export Single Layer, and go to PNG. So earlier I had you make a file on your desktop and it was called CapCut Animation Files. You're going to go ahead and click on that and then save this. So originally I saved this as CapCut 1. That's going to be the first piece in my animation. It's going to be the base, and it's going to tell me where to place all of my other pieces later on. So go ahead and hit save. I'm going to hit cancel because I've already done this. The next thing I had saved was my mascot's arm holding the spoon. It took a while to figure out how to do this. I actually had to go back and edit a few things. I'm not going to do that here, but I had to fix his files so that his arm would be there. And then I went ahead and saved my bear and his bow tie. But you get the idea that you're going to have all of these files and you're going to have to go through every single one. The mascot's files are kind of messy because I had to go back and I didn't save it. I just got what I needed, saved my PNGs, and got out of there. So let's move on to the broccoli. You're probably going to have to experiment with your digital art files too. That's totally okay, and that's why I wanted to share that my process was also a little messy. But in the future, I will know when I'm making an animation so that my files are a little more cleaned up. But we're going to go ahead and do the same stuff here with broccoli. I saved that as CapCut 7. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit the undo button 2 or 3 times. And then unclick my broccoli, go over to mushroom, right click, select from layer, create selection, crop. And then go to File, Export Single Layer, go to PNG, go to Desktop, CapCut Animation Files, and then Save. So you'll see here that I've got my overall image, I've got the spoon because I wanted that to move. I had all of my veggies saved. The bow tie I ended up not animating. Then I have my mascot, the chalkboard, and you'll see that I have 2 versions of my chalkboard. One of them is the border with the chalkboard, and the other is just the border without the chalkboard part. It's actually transparent. So they look the same, but they're actually two separate files. And then I have my text that says, let's go to a restaurant. So go ahead, go through all of your art files, save all of the ones that you want to have animated, and then we're going to go over to CapCut and start the animation process. Okay, now that we're back in CapCut, you want to make sure you're at Media, Import Media, and you want to click on the plus import. Make sure that you go to your desktop, CapCut animation files, and then I want you to click, drag and hold to highlight all of your files, and then click open. And then now we have all of our art files uploaded into CapCut. To get started, I want you to add the base image to your timeline. So I'm clicking and dragging my base image. And then I want you to go ahead and pick one of your elements that you're going to animate and put it directly above that base image. So the reason why we're putting it on top of and not next to is because if you put it next to the first image, it's going to play like a movie. So it's going to go from let's go to a restaurant to my spoon, and we do not want that. Instead, we want the spoon to be directly above, and we're going to go ahead and resize it. Now you can either hover above the top corners where you see these circles and you could click and drag to resize it, or you can look over to the right panel so you see like all of these options where it says video, animation, tracking, and so on. And you could actually click on this scale and drag it, or you could click or type in a percentage over here. So I'm going to go ahead and shrink my spoon. I do want to mess around with the navigation so that I could see better. So you'll see this magnifying glass in the bottom right corner. And again, you could click the magnifying glasses or click and drag the slider, whatever works for you. And then you can also click and drag this blue box over here to navigate the page better. So I'm going to go ahead and line up my spoon to the best of my ability. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you want it to match up with the base image. So that looks okay there. Now to animate, we want to go to transform. And over on the right, you'll see this diamond shape, and when you hover above it, it says add keyframe. So we go to transform, add keyframe, and it doesn't look like much yet, but if you go back to your spoon, or whatever your second layer is, and you right click, go to variable speed animation. Once you show the variable speed animation, you can go ahead and see the scale, the X and Y, and rotate. So today we're going to look at the rotate. We're going to bring this bar back to the front at the very beginning of our animation. And anytime you want to add a keyframe, you're going to click on this diamond right here that says add keyframe. So we'll add one at the beginning, and then I was actually zooming in. So I'm using this magnifying glass on the right side. I was zooming in and adding a change to the animation every second. So I click and drag this to the 1 second mark, and I double check looking up at this blue number. Once I'm at the 1 second mark, I go ahead and zoom out, and I click on add keyframe. And then I did the same thing at the 2 second mark, and I added a keyframe. The 3 second mark, add a keyframe. The 4 second mark, add a keyframe. And I actually made my animation 10 seconds long to do well on social media, specifically my Instagram. So up to you if you make this 5 seconds, 10, 15, whatever works for you. But for this demonstration, I'll keep it simple at 5 seconds. So now that we have all of our times with a keyframe, you're going to want to manipulate those individual keyframes. So again, I'm using the rotate. And if I grab this keyframe, I'm going to click and I'm going to drag. And you could either drag it up or you could drag it down. I'm going to go ahead and drag it up. I think when I first did this, I had it around like between 15 and 35, depending on what item was being rotated. But I'm going to go ahead and keep it around 15. So I'm going up, I'm going down, and then we're going to go ahead and hit play. And you'll notice that now my spoon moves. It definitely moves too much. It moves quite a lot. But you know what I'm forgetting is that I also have a layer for my bear, so it will hide part of his arm that was like violently shaking. And the more layers we add, the better it's going to look. Now that I've shown you how to animate some of the elements using keyframes, we want to upload a new background. So for this particular piece, I have the border and chalkboard. I'm going to go ahead and click it, drag it, and drop it right above my entire art piece. And what I want to do is click on it, then go to the right side where it says blend, and edit the opacity. So I want to lower this enough for me to see my below layer, which is the one that shows all of my elements and where they go. And we're basically using this as like a puzzle. So next I'm going to click on the caret. I'm going to drag it and drop it on the top. I'm going to resize it. So the same thing that we were doing earlier, where we bring in our element, we drag it, we resize it, we go to the magnifying glass and we zoom in so that we can resize it better. And then once you have it where you need it to be, go ahead and zoom back out and then drag this over to the beginning, go to transform, add a keyframe, and then go to that layer, right click, go to show variable speed animation, and then open the rotate. And again, we're going to go to the second marks. So add a keyframe at 1 second, at 2 seconds, at 3 seconds, at 4 seconds, and at 5 seconds. Once you have all 5 of your keyframes on here, you're going to want to start moving them up or down. So again, I keep it like between 0 and 15, give or take, and then I played around with some of these numbers. Now you could go ahead and hit play just to see how it's going so far. Next, I'm actually going to add my bear, which was CapCut number 9. I'm going to click, drag, and drop, and I want him to be above the spoon. So we're going to go ahead and resize him. We're going to zoom in using the magnifying glass. This is just how I do it. There's other ways to do this, but this is how we do it. So go ahead and resize, and that looks pretty good to me. It doesn't have to be perfect, or you're welcome to spend more time on it than I'm spending right now. But you'll see that by putting him above the spoon, we're hiding his shaky arm below his bow tie. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out. I'm going to click on the transform drop down menu to hide it, and then I actually want to go ahead and hide the base layer. So to do that, we're going to click on this eye that says hide track, and now it goes away. And then going back to the other layer that we were using, layer 2, we're going to go ahead and go to the right side, blend, opacity, and change the opacity to 100%. And now I can show you where we're at with our animation. So right now the spoon moves, the potato moves, the carrot moves, and I just continue with other elements. So I'm going to show you guys one more just so you guys feel confident that you understand all of the steps. So let's go back to our base layer, click on the eyeball so we could show the track, and then go to our second layer, transform and blend are open. We're going to go to opacity and we're going to lower it. Let's go ahead and add our onion. So I will drag and drop the onion. Make sure we have this at the beginning. Click on transform, add keyframe. And you know what? I'm actually getting ahead of ourselves. We gotta resize it, but it's okay. You'll notice that you could add a keyframe and then go back and resize your elements. So that step is interchangeable. It's not too picky about which order you go in. Let's go ahead and add that in. That's good enough. Now you want to right click on this layer, go to show variable speed animation, open the rotate drop down menu, and again we're going to do the 1 second, 2 second, add a keyframe, 3 second add a keyframe, 4 second add a keyframe, and 5 second add a keyframe. Once you have that in, we're going to go ahead and move these up or down. And you could play around with these. There's so much more you could do, but this is as far as I got, and it gets the job done for what I wanted. So we're going to go ahead and go back to layer 1, hide the track, go to layer 2 and raise the opacity, and this is our current animation. Today I taught you guys how to use CapCut's desktop version to animate your digital art files. It's pretty simple. We didn't really have to learn how to rig up anything, and I hope it was easy to follow along. Let me know if you guys plan on using this to animate your digital art, and if you guys have any other questions on art business strategies, be sure to check out the rest of my YouTube as well as my website, blog, and frequently asked questions page. Until next time, guys, and I hope you have a ton of fun animating your digital art files. Bye-bye.